Hi my friends, it's Carrie. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a card tutorial using the stamp set from Pinkfresh Studio called Magical Unicorn. And I mentioned in my previous haul video that I would go ahead and do a tutorial with this stamp set next. So that's what I'm going to do for you guys today. So I'm going to start off with my watercolor paper here, and I've already got it cut down. And I'm going to go ahead and use my mini Misty here to stamp down the horn and the little eyelashes or eyes of this set. And I'm going to be doing a lot of embossing on this card today. So I've gone ahead and prepped my surface with my powder tool because, like I said, I am going to be doing some embossing. And it's best to go ahead and use a powder tool for that purpose because it will prevent any powder from sticking where you don't want it to stick. So I am coating my stamps with the Versamark ink. It's a clear sticky ink and it will allow my embossing powder to stick to those areas where I want it. And I'm going to do this twice because I want to make sure I'm going to get a good impression onto my card panel here. Once I've got that done, I'm going to take my favorite rose gold embossing powder from Fawn, and I'm going to sprinkle this onto the areas where I stamped down, making sure that I get that all good and covered. And I absolutely love this embossing powder. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's one of my favorites, and I absolutely love the best reason why as to why I love it so much is because it keeps that rose tone of the embossing powder because I've got two that react totally differently. So this is my favorite of the two that I own. So I'm just going to funnel that powder back into the container there and just put the lid on it. Put that aside so I won't have any chance of spilling it onto my work surface. So next I'm going to go ahead and take my heat tool. I've gone ahead and preheated my heat tool prior to the video because I want to make sure that I've got this good and hot before I emboss. And if you're new to card making, this is a good tip to remember. Whenever you're embossing, to go ahead and preheat your heat tool for a few minutes to make sure it's really good and hot because it will prevent the paper that your cardstock from warping too much, and it will just make the process go that much faster. So once I have that all heat embossed there, I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of more details here by taking the die that creates the ear. A lot of the examples that I have seen using this stamp set use the positive part of the ear, but I'm actually going to use a negative, and it's just going to give it a little bit of an extra different look to it, and I absolutely love the way this whole entire card turned out. So I just want to do a little bit of a different variation of all the examples that I've seen. So I went this route, and I actually really do love the way it turned out. So I'm just going to save those positive pieces of the ear for another card for another time. Next I'm going to do some more embossing. So what I'm going to do is take my Versamark ink cube here. I'm going to rub that all against all four sides of this card panel. And what I am doing, I am creating I'm going to create an embossed edge here. And it's just going to give it a little bit of a finished edge to this panel and not make it just so plain. And you could definitely leave it plain if you wanted to, but this just bumps up the whole entire look of the card. So all I'm doing here is just dunking it into my embossing powder here, and this just makes the process go a little bit faster. My card panel is just a little bit too long to dunk it on two of the sides there. So all I'm doing is taking my spoon there and then adding it that way. So if you ever get embossing powder onto your panel where you don't want it, all you need to do is just take a dry paintbrush and just brush that away, and it will just make the process of removing that stray embossing powder that much easier. So I'm just going to take my heat tool once more, going to heat set that, and you can see that once I get this heat set, it's going to give it that really pretty gold embossed edge there. Absolutely love doing this every once in a while with my cards because it's just something unexpected. So I'm going to finish up doing the other side here. And I'm just taking, like I said, you can see me, just take that edge of that pad there and just rubbing against the edge. And it just creates a really even application. Really super simple to do. So I got some more stray embossing powder that I didn't want, so I'm just taking my paintbrush once more and then I'm going to heat set that once again. Next, I'm going to work on my a little bit of the extra details too around the eyes here. So they've got this star cluster within the stamp set, and I'm going to stamp that down with the Versamark ink again. And I'm using my gold embossing powder once more, and I'm going to add that gold embossing powder to both sides of the edge of the stamped area where I stamped that cluster down, adding my embossing powder, and again adding some heat with my heat tool to set that. And then I'm going to go ahead and also work on my sentiment as well, because since I'm doing an embossing, I just want to get it all done in one pass here. So you can see once I have that heat set how beautiful that brings some extra detail around the eyes. So I've taken my this sentiment here, be a unicorn in a field of horses. Absolutely love that sentiment. It's so pretty, and it's so, encouraging too. I love a lot of the sentiments in the stamp set. This stamp set is very unique. I was probably a lot of us that would have been wanting it. The stamp set was available for quite some time, and then the dies was the one that I was waiting on, and so in this instance you have to have the dies. It's best to have the dies with the stamp set in order for it to work, because there is like I said, the ear die cut, the die for the ear, as well as the die for the leaf, and so it makes it a cohesive stamp set, or cohesive all around set. So I've gone ahead and heat set my sentiment there, and I am completely done with my embossing now. So I'm going to kind of zoom you guys in for a little bit, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to add just a little bit of extra detail around the ears and around the eyes. So I've taken a R00 Copic marker here, and I'm just going to add a little bit of Pinkfresh to the inside of the ears, and this is really going to add a lot of detail to the inside of the ears and just make it come to life that much more. So once I'm just kind of flickering that on there. Then once I have that, I'm going to take my C1 marker, my cool gray marker, and I'm going to add a little bit of detail around the eyes, and it's going to give it some depth and dimension around the eyes, and it looks like she's got a little bit of eyeliner too. So I absolutely love just adding these extra details to my cards if I actually think about it. Sometimes I don't think about it. More times than not, I don't have an actual plan for my cards. I just kind of go along and step by step. But for this one, I had a vision, and so I'm actually happy that my vision came to life the way that I thought it would. So now I'm actually adding some detail around the ears too, and it's really giving that dimension around her head and just making it cohesive and making it look like there's bringing her around her face a little bit more to life. I'm actually adding a little bit to her ears with that cool gray marker too, and just kind of bringing it all together there. So I'm going to actually take my colorless blender now, and I'm just going to kind of go along there, and it's really going to soften that and get rid of those harsh edges. So once I've got that complete, I've got all those details that I wanted to add all done there. So next what I'm going to do is take a piece of fog cardstock from Simon Says Stamp, and I'm going to create a mat for my panel here. And later on you'll see me add some dimension to the back of my main panel here, and it's really going to create a nice shadow for around the ear area with that fog cardstock. Before I do that though, I want to take some shimmer spritz. This is my favorite shimmer spritz, and I'm going to be really generous with this, and I'm going to spray all over this panel with that shimmer, and it's going to add that much more detail to the overall look of this card, and just give it that magical feel of the unicorn, and just the overall feel of, if you think of unicorns, of sparkly, and just that really girly look of unicorns. So I really had fun getting this whole concept together with this card. So once I've completed and really happy with the way that Shimmer Spritz looked, I'm taking my foam adhesive here and adding that to the back, and then just adding that to my fog panel here that I cut down earlier. Now I'm going to take this card base here, my white card base, and I'm going to work on the inside of my card. And I'm going to take that horn stamp once again, and I'm going to stamp the inside with the Peachy Keen ink from Lawn Fawn. This is really going to make it match really well with that rose gold that I've got going on the front. And I'm going to stamp that down twice, making sure that I get a really good, nice, bold, solid impression. I really like the way that looked. I'm kind of getting the excess ink around my door there. I did get a little bit of ink on the upper part of that inside of the card, but I'm not too worried about it. So now I'm going to add an extra sentiment to the inside here, and it says, "I believe in you." And I'm going to mount this to the inside of my Misty door here, and then I'm going to ink this up with my Versamark Onyx Black ink. I've got a little bitty ink cube of this as well, and this makes it much easier to ink up that much faster to get that sentiment stamped down. So once I am happy with how that looks, I'm going to stamp that down there, and it's going to leave a really nice bold black impression with that horn, and it just kind of ties everything together from the inside out. So now what I'm going to do is just remove all the paper backings off of my panel there. Well, no, I'm actually adding liquid glue to this on the back of this panel. So I'm using the Connect glue from Gina K. I'm actually testing this out, seeing how I like it. I was thinking about doing a comparison between this ink and the Lawn Fawn glue tube ink. The glue tube from Lawn Fawn, and the comparison with this glue here. If you're interested in doing a review of that, let me know in the comments, and I'll be happy to do that review for you guys. So now I'm going to take that same Connect glue, liquid adhesive, and I'm going to add just little bitty dots of this glue all over this panel. And I've got these little bitty star confetti from Pretty Pink Posh, and I'm just going to dump out just a little bitty pile of it onto my work surface. And I'm going to take my jewel picker here. It's got two sticky ends on either side, and I'm just going to take that jewel picker and add these little bitty stars all over this panel here. And it's really going to add a lot more of that shimmer and shine, because once the light catches the stars, it just adds to this overall look of this card. It's so pretty. I absolutely love this card. It's one of my favorites that I've made in quite some time. So you can see that background shimmer there and how much it adds to the overall effect of the card design. And then the inside that I'd stamped earlier. And then on Instagram, I shared my very first card that I made with this stamp set. So I thought I would share it with you guys as well here on YouTube. And the way I did this horn is I took this craft nib that I showed in my last haul. I took the nib, actually just dunked it into my Distress Oxide ink colors, and I actually just painted it onto the actual stamp itself. And then I had my Misty, and I just stamped it several times to create all of these different colors onto that horn. And then I die cut that with the die that it comes with the set. So that completes my card today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial and a look at these cards that I use with this stamp set. I hope I got you inspired to use this set and create cards for yourself. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will catch you on my next video. Bye-bye.